Hey, gang. Hey, today, what I wanted to share with you was a system, but I want to be careful about this because really it's a system where you do all the work, but I'm just trying to help you do it in as quick a time as possible. We're going to call it the two-point scale system. Now, I didn't invent this, but I'm advocating its use a little bit differently. If you are a person, this kind of is a follow-up to a rant that I posted a while back. If you're a person who doesn't feel comfortable with how the fretboard is mapped out to you, this is a way that you can easily do the work yourself to really map out the fretboard in a way that makes you get a lot more confident. Um, Now, there's plenty of ways that you can do this, right? If you've seen any of my videos, you know I'm an advocate of the cage system. And also, I have another system where I talk about three major and three minor chords, all based on the 4, 3, and 2 strings. I love both of those systems. I think they both work great, and I recommend them for people. If those don't work for you, or if you don't want to do them, they think it's too much, this is easy. Okay, it really is. It involves basically finding certain notes and then taking 2 points of those notes and creating scales from them. So that's all that this really is. So we're going to go through that methodology for a couple of keys, and I'll show you how it all works, and that's it. And I've even got the fretboard paper in the comments below, or not the comments, but the description of the video below, that you can download and print out and write out yourself. I highly recommend doing this yourself, not buying a book that says, here are the scale fingerings and just do it. I recommend doing it for yourself. That's really the only way. Okay? So, if you're still with me, if you haven't gone, oh my God, this guy's off his rocker, is a lesson on telling me how to do all the work. Nah, that's kind of what, actually, it's kind of what teaching is, right? It's guiding people to do their own work, to learn things. But if you're still with me, I guarantee this is a way that's fairly simple. It will work for you, okay, if you apply it. All right, so let's get to the two-point scale system right away. Now, we'll do it in close-up in just a second, but I want to show you the basics right here. Let's suppose, and in this lesson, I'm going to recommend we do the major scale first. I would recommend you do that anyway because for most of you, it's already in your brain, right? Let's see. That's an A, right? So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? So you already have that da, 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 da. It's probably already intuitive to you. So because it's already in your brain, you're going to be able to translate that to the fretboard through your fingers more easily. So this is basically the system. Let's say we're starting it out in A, and we will. You find an A on the 6th string, okay? Then you use your first or your second finger and you figure out a fingering how to get to another A using that. Okay? Then using that same A, in this case right here, I'll use my third or fourth finger and do the same thing going this way. So 1 point will go this way, 1 point will go this way. All right? And in that way, I end up learning a significant chunk of the fretboard based on my own ideas of what the fretboard should look like. Or not the fretboard should look like, but based on creating those tones from my brain onto the fretboard, okay? So that's what we're doing. Let's get to it. Hey, as always, if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button. If you haven't yet, subscribe for one of these or two of these every week. This is a little atypical. I don't usually do even theory-like stuff. Okay, gang, here we go. Two-point scale system. First things first, you can download the blank fretboard paper. I advise you stop the video, print one of these out, get a pen or pencil, and then be all set. All right? So we'll come back here in just a second. We'll get going. Okay. So we're going to do this in the key of A for a major scale, but please realize we can do it in any key we want over any scale we want. This works for everything. I'm doing the major scale because it's something we're familiar with. I'm doing A because most of the positions are easily closed positions. And the open strings are going to make the patterns that you're going to see just a little bit cloudy. So I want you to learn the system before you try and tackle that. All right. I don't want to discourage you right out of the starting block, so to speak. Okay, so here's how it works. We're going to do this in A. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the 6th string. I'm going to find an A that's not an open note. First one I find is right here on the 5th fret. Okay? Now, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to use, first of all, I'm going to use my first 2 fingers. I'm going to pick one of them. I'm going to arbitrarily pick, whoops, not that one. Sorry, folks. I'm going to pick this one. Didn't want to say anything bad to you there. I want to pick this finger. But again, I could have picked my 2nd finger, but I'm going to pick my 1st finger, and I'm going to find a fingering for that scale that works. Now, it also helps maybe if you play the chord, if you know a chord that's based on this. That can help. And then also sing. Da, 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 da. All right? So we're going to now try and imitate that by going up on the scale, by going this way on the fretboard from this note. Da, 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 da. Okay? Now, if you made some mistakes, it's okay. It's self-correcting. Da, da. No, that's not right. Da, da, da. Yep, good. Da, da. Nope, not right. Da, da. Nope. Da, 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 da. Nope. Da, da. See how you can self-correct by doing that? Important to do that, okay? So you just found, if you found that along with me, you just found your own fingering for the A major scale, okay, based on that A right there. Okay, you just did it yourself. Now, you can probably find it in a book, but it's way more important for you to do it yourself. At this point, you go to your fretboard paper and you write those notes down, okay? You note all the places where your fingers hit. And maybe even think about a pattern like, oh, on the 6th string it's 1, 3, 5. On the 5th string it's 1, 3, 5. On the 5th string it's 2, 3. Right? If I counted this as my 1. All right, this fret. Okay? That way I can move the pattern wherever I want. Okay, now, it's not the only pattern that you could come up with. In fact, I have medium to smallish hands, so I don't like big stretches. So I actually prefer the one starting with the 2nd finger. I actually prefer this. That's more comfortable for me, and I'm more at home in that. It's reflected in my play, no doubt. The important thing is for you to do it yourself. Heck, if you have big hands, really big hands, maybe you do this. Oops. You can see I don't know that. All right. So the important thing is that you do it yourself. All right? It helps you be the player who you are rather than something that you read in a book or just imitated. All right? Especially with these systems, right? It's really just about getting you to know the fretboard in your own way. Okay, so now that I've got the going up there, oh, I should note where I ended too. I'm just going to note in passing that this is an A. Okay, that's also an A. All right, so now I'm going to go this way on the fretboard. Now I'll just show you. I'll take my 4th finger in this case, but I could start with a 3rd, either one. But I'm going to start with the 4th finger and go this way. Again, if I make mistakes, I can self-correct. I'm going to note that this is another A just in our lesson here. And if I'm comfortable with that, if that's the one I want to use, I'll write that down on my fretboard paper. All right? So now it's time, now that I got the 6th string, now it's time for me to go to the 5th string. So now I'm going to go to the 5th string. The first non-open A I find happens to be the A string, right? So the open note is an A. The first non-open A I find is right here on the 12th fret. Okay, so now I'm going to sing it. Da 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 da. And I'm going to play it again. Going up, starting from the 5th fret. I use my 1st finger and I'm going up the fretboard. Okay? Now, if you have keen eyes, you probably noticed that, hey, that's the same pattern that I used on the 6th string, just shifted up to start here. Excellent. That's an excellent observation. Some teachers make a huge deal of this, that, hey, the pattern's the same, so you can just shift it up. I don't like to do that because I think it gives a false sense of security, because as soon as you hit that B string, the bane of the existence of guitar players, right? That B string is tuned not in a fourth, right? Everything else is tuned in fourths, but this isn't. So when we hit the B string, all the patterns are kind of broken. Now you can intellectualize it, and I've heard some people say, oh yeah, when you get to the B string, you move it up, you shift up 1 fret, and then just continue as if the pattern was unbroken from the B to the E string as well. While all of that is true from a mathematical or from a theoretical point of view, what I find is that as a player, I can't just intellectualize that and make it happen. I have to play it. So I don't make such a big deal. The pattern is the same up here and there. All right, so the most important thing is to do it going forward like this, going up the fretboard. Again, there's multiple patterns, but pick one that works for you and write it down. Now I'm going to do it starting with my 4th finger. Again, I could choose the 3rd, but I'm choosing the 4th. All right, again, if I sing da 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 da, I'm going to notice if I make any mistakes. I'm going to self-correct, and then I'm going to write it down so that I see that pattern. Okay? That's the 5th string. Now I move to the 4th string, do the same thing. Here's the 4th string right here. Whatever pattern makes sense to me. I use my 4th finger on that one, right? So that's the root on the 4th string. Go this way, then go this way from that point. All right? And finally on the 3rd string. We're going to stop at the 3rd string. We don't continue on the 2nd or the 1st. We could, but I find it less useful and less helpful. So we're going to try to do that on the 2nd string, or on the 3rd string. All right? And it's hard to use the 4th finger because we're going past the nut here. So you might want to move that up a whole octave and do the same thing. All right? And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. If you can do that and practice it, you are going to find your own way of visualizing the fretboard. Now, what's interesting or funny or helpful or whatever is that when you go from the 6th to the 5th to the 4th to the 3rd strings, you actually will map out almost the entire fretboard anyway, and you'll fill out all those gaps of just doing 1 octave scales. Anyway, you will know how to start from any of these and navigate your way to the next one. All right, with any note. All right, so that's the A. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but how would we do the D? Well, we'd start, let's say we went in the key of D. We'd start on the 6th string. Let's go up to the first non-open D. There it is, on the 10th fret right there. And do the same thing. Go up. And then we'd, using our 1st finger or 2nd finger, we go this way. Then we go this way. All right. And then we would repeat on the 5th string and on the 4th string and the 3rd string. Okay. Every key that you do gets easier because you're going to notice that the patterns are the same when you're starting from the 6th and the 5th and the 4th. So it really just reinforces it. So if you go from D to E to G to C to F to B flat or whatever ones you work, you know, pick 5 keys or something, right? And that's just going to do it for you. Once you get to all those, you'll start to realize this is all just repeating. And if I just know how to find an E, I'm golden, right? If over that E chord, if I'm playing an E major, all I really have to do is find an E, and I'm good. All right? And it's going to help you see the fretboard in your own way and find your own patterns and your own lines And that's going to make you a unique player as well as a confident player. All right. I did want to show you at the very end here that this works for any scale. So for example, let's say I wanted to do minor pentatonic, right? We all know that one. And so that would work on the 6th string, right? And that's using the 1st finger. Now I'm going to switch to my 4th finger or 3rd finger. Okay, then I would find it on the 5th string, etc. All right, so it all works exactly the same thing. It's fairly straightforward. It's fairly easy to do, but you do have to do a little work. I find that if you don't write it down, it's not going to help you in the same way. All right, so that's it. All right, gang, there you have it, the 2-point scale system. It's not really a system as much as it is a methodology that you can do your own self-learning. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope if you've tried other things like the cage system or 3-note per string system, that this works for you. Okay? Remember, at the end of the day, it's how you view the instrument and the music that you can make come out of it. That's what this is all about. Okay? So if this aided in any way, I've done my work. Okay. I hope it worked for you, and we'll see you on down the road.